With Brian, anybody sign? Debbie?
I'm Kelly Duger. For the last 3 weeks, we went out to our area and we collected 652 signatures for people who are in support of the sidewalk. We brought up about the taxes. We brought up about getting another grant to cover that $189,000. People are very, very supportive. They feel our street is very unsafe and something needs to be done. So, in turn, because this grant's going to take a couple years, myself and Kelly are requesting a couple more things to make our roads safer. First of all, I know last year I contacted that Tom Messana, Mr. Cliff, and I told you about him. He's Region 5 Buffalo Regional Traffic Engineer for Erie County, and he told me that I couldn't do anything but to contact you, which I did. And he said to tell the superintendent, to call the engineer, and the engineer calls Tom, and they would meet, and Wheatfield would ask for advice and help to determine how to make our roads safer. Now, I know I did this last year. I don't know if it was last spring, 2015 or whatever. Did you call that man?
We were in the office. We did have a discussion with he and Angelo Borghese. We were more concerned with Shawnee Road that day because that was recent. We did not spend much time with Kruger Road.
Could you contact him and just see what could be done? He said they would send someone out with the engineer and the highway superintendent and kind of give some direction on how we could improve the safety on our roads. Another thing I'm asking for, and I asked this I think early spring, was to have 2 more 30-mile-per-hour signs on our roads. Presently, originally there were none on our right side of the road where Ryan was killed. So the next day after I brought it up, they came out and put up 2 signs, but I would like 2 more signs put up. By the time they hit Kelly and my house, they're doing 45-50. So if you want to put it in front of my yard, I don't care. If it's got to go there.
Mine also. I don't even care if it's on my property.
And then the opposite side too. One on my side and one on the opposite side. Also, I noticed the sheriff's been around, but he's parked down by the fire hall. By then, people are already braking for the stop sign. I had offered my yard, my driveway. He's welcome to be there. I don't know if they'll do it or not, but he's welcome to park there because I have those red maple trees and it's hidden.
They like to avoid private driveways. But
if we give permission, it's okay. I have a double driveway.
I think they'd have to answer that, not me. If they do
so I would have to call them? I would call them?
You'll see them parking a little ways down Mavis Drive. You'll see them occasionally parking down any one of the many streets.
Well, how would I give him that information that he could use my driveway? Do I have to call the sheriff's department?
You can, or I can. I can email him.
Okay.
Email me and I'll forward it.
And then the speed detector, the radar sign, again, it's in a not a good place. It's past where Joshua had his sign. People are already braking. So it needs to be up further. And you can put that in front of my yard, too.
Okay.
Let people know what they're doing. That's it. I heard the bell. We're done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Ryan?
Good evening. I just wanted to ask if there's any new news on Quasar, either from Ag and Markets or if the appeal has been perfected and submitted to the court.
I don't think I've heard anything in the last 2 weeks.
No, there was since last time there has been the appeal has not been perfected, at least I haven't heard that it has. With regard to that case with Judge Caruso, some time ago they made a motion to re-argue even in lieu of the appeal, especially when they had what they thought was additional information. And those motions for re-argument rarely go anywhere. It was attended by our attorney. I was informed by them that it did not go anywhere. The judge did not change his ruling. They tried to short-circuit the appeal route. That got nowhere.
When was that?
I believe that was about a month ago where they weeks ago, a month or 6 weeks ago. We were waiting to hear and make sure that that was denied, which it was. It was a request by them to re-argue, which is in front of the same judge as Teresa. But if nothing else, we submitted additional information to Ag and Markets.
That was a great letter.
Yeah, they did a very good job, and from that, we have not heard anything else.
Is it your understanding that Ag and Markets has made a ruling, or they're still in the process of determining what they want to do?
Well, they made their opinion letter, which
Mm-hmm.
we responded to, and that was several months ago. We responded to that opinion letter, and their next step would be some sort of formal order, which, if they haven't, that hasn't arrived yet. They may be formulating it, they may be waiting a little longer to make a decision, see other information, can't say for sure.
Is it possible that they would just stay silent on the matter?
I think
They're not really silent. They just haven't given us an order. Most of their terminology is that if a case was brought to them, that they may find in favor of the farmer that wants to equate. The law, well, let's just say if there was a farmer that wanted to put equate on their property, Ag and Markets would probably find against us. That hasn't happened, so they haven't had a reason.
Okay.
If Quasar asked them, Quasar has already been determined to not have any standing in that matter by the Supreme Court, Judge Caruso. So it's probably not going to come from them. It would have to be a farmer that wants to put equate on his land.
Okay. All right.
Probably.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else, Brian? Dave?
Yes, good evening. As of today, October the 17th, the governor has opened bidding in the second round of funding for the broadband build-out for New York State for $500 million. That quote will close on November the 30th. We hope to, by the end of the year, get feedback on those that were selected. Our vendor of choice, Center for Solutions, the resident partners will be submitting for that funding to build out all of Niagara and Williamson counties with high-speed broadband. Comprehensive, by the way, did an outstanding job in Sunday's paper writing up an update on exactly what's going on with the broadband initiative in the county. And it does explain in there that our vendor will be submitting for those funds. We have a shovel-ready, ready to go. We're just waiting for those funds to land, some of the revenue that we need. The other thing just to mention, in fact, I was just receiving an email from Richard Muscatello, who I've been communicating with, obviously, on some of your enforcement laws as to do with turbines and solar panels. I raised concern that some of the industrial solar farms looking for a minimum of like 20 acres of solar panels, we did find out that the FAA has a form that needs to be submitted when planning such an array of solar panels of that size to make sure that they are not reflective, because that could be potential enforcement for our air base and our airport because of the reflective nature of those large solar farms. So this is an honest, share some information you guys will share with some of our other towns who would pay you considering the same thing. So that's the most important.
Thank you, Dave. On the question of financial support, casino funds from the county for the light control at Six Corners. Do you know where we stand on that, when that might happen?
If not, I looked at my allocations. I have not yet been able to get the other two other things together in order to actually get it done. But we do have a legislative meeting tomorrow night. I'll be opportunity to take it.
We have approved it. We could use the assistance of the casino fund.
Really the money that was indicated we're looking for is not the money.
We understand. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Nobody else? Anybody who wants to speak to the board on any issue before the town? Sir? If you would, can you come to the mic, please? The meetings are taped and they're available to the public through podcast, but they can't hear people that are sitting in seats talking.
Let's see, we can't hear very well back there either. I don't know if there's something you can do in the budget to improve the sound system, getting an amplifier, better speakers, something, because at my young age, things are
I understand.
a little harder to
Well,
hear.
we do have the amplifier. We can turn it up. It gets to the point where the feedback
You
becomes
get
too much.
feedback, so I don't know, looking into it and getting a better one, you know, getting it in the budget, having somebody look at it to tweak it. Maybe the microphones are too close together, and that might be why you're getting feedback. But something to look at for the older citizens of our town.
Of which I'm one.
Pardon me?
Of which I'm one.
Yeah, no. So, yeah, just consider that.
Okay. Thank you. Larry, maybe you can tweak it up a little and just start getting home. Yeah, exactly. It's right in the middle there somewhere. No, it's the one right in the middle, I think. Okay, for the record, Kathy, all board members are present. And gentlemen, we do have a set of minutes before us from October 3rd. Does anybody wish to move those in for approval?
So moved.
Moved by Gil. Need a second?
I'll second.
Second, Randy. Anything on the concern? Anything that anybody wishes to change? If not, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So that's approved. We do have a bill payment. The total is $727,245.41. The voucher numbers are 2016-1972 through 2104. Need a motion to be able to pay these bills.
So moved.
Moved by Art. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Randy. Any bills that anybody wishes to hold? If not, then all in favor of paying these signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That is also approved. Paul, what's going on in Highway?
Wrapping up some jobs for the end of the year, trying to get our plow trucks ready, hopefully we won't need them. Outfitting our new trucks, they come in, move stuff, make their own adjustments to it. I just want to remind everybody, we will be out picking up leaves. We'll wait until we get a few piles out there. I see one or two around, but we're not going to chase them all over town. Once we see some steadier piles out there, we will get them out and we'll start picking them up. I'm figuring probably the end of this week, beginning of next week is when they'll start. My staff, please don't cover drains, don't put them in the ditches, put them on the side of the road. Keep them close enough to the road that we can reach them, but don't put them in the road itself. One other thing, just a quick reminder, I had a problem today with somebody with their sump pump. People, especially in the newer subdivisions, the land here is all full of sandy loam, and it tends to migrate into your sump pump. So once a year, you should pull your sump pump out, take the sandy loam out, put your sump pump back in. What happens is it's pumping all this debris to the end of the pipe, and when it gets out to the road, it ends up blocking it up. Then the little bubbler out the road has water coming out of it, and then they got to call me. I mean, they can prevent that problem by just doing that simple thing once a year, get a little garden shovel out that sandy loam, take it outside, put your sump pump back in, you'll be fine. Besides that, I don't have a whole lot more. We're done, pretty much done with road work for the year. We do have some patching if the weather holds up. And I have one thing here, I don't know if you guys want to do it now, for removing the island where Dewey and Jarrett Court is, a little subdivision up on
Did we get it in writing yet?
I have it. Well, the guy just gave it to me. I just received it this morning, but I told him I would bring it to the board meeting tonight.
Okay, so we all right.
10 of the 12 people that live back there signed the petition.
Okay, this is the Jarrett at Shawnee, and Dewey Court is also in the back in the same area. And they have asked us to remove the median at the end. Paul likes to have those medians removed, so it's a little bit of a no-brainer if the members are approving it. So I will make the motion to remove the median and replace it with regular roadway, regular tar, at the corner of Shawnee and Jarrett Parkway, right? Jarrett Drive.
I'll second it.
Second by Gil. Moved and seconded. Anything on the question? All in favor of removing this median? Aye. Any opposed? That's approved, Paul. Anything for Paul?
Yeah, one quick one.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Paul. I had a neighbor get a hold of me over on Rose Court, and around the culvert drain, the concrete culvert drain you guys put in, I think you guys put it in, right? It's not water and sewer, is it?
Right.
Okay. But the soil is eroding away because the water's really not draining through the pipes out front. And what it does, it swirls, collects the water, and then it caves in. I don't know if there's something we can do. You know where the Denery residence is on Rose Court? Out in front there, he's concerned somebody's going to step in it and do harm. Maybe you could just take a gander at it to see what's afoot there.
We went and fixed a few of them. We do have to fix a few more of them.
Did you? Okay. All right. If you could take a gander at it, I'd appreciate it. He asked me to mention it to you. Thank you.
Anything else for Paul? Rich, what's going on in water sewer?
We're on the winter maintenance pretty much. Letters have been sent out to all the fire companies, the surrounding fire companies, that if they're using a fire hydrant, please let us know so we can pump them out so they don't freeze up during the winter. I'd also like to ask the town residents if they see people using the hydrants other than the town employees or fire department, please call my office and let us know so we can check in it, possibly even prosecute the people that are using the hydrant if they don't have a permit. But also that lets us go out there, pump them out, keep them dry so they don't freeze up over winter if we know somebody uses them. If we don't know they use them, then it froze up there in the winter, kind of hard to, we got to go out, thaw it out, it's unusable to the fire department in case they need it. So it's kind of vital that we know if somebody's using them.
Okay. Anything for Rich? Thank you. Mike Rinaldi.
Good evening. Couple of quick hitters. First, we had our senior dance last Saturday. I know I say it every time, but it was my favorite one yet. We had 109 or 10 of our seniors come out. Chicken fingers and French fries, nice, cozy. It was a good time. The weather was great. There was a lot of people out dancing. Supervisor Cliff came and helped, so we appreciate that. I know Arlene had a good time. My son had a good time. He was working chips. Yeah. The next thing we have a walking club. I'm not sure if anyone knows about it. Niagara Wheatfield, they're kind enough to open their doors over at Eric Road. The weather's going to turn in a couple weeks here, so they let us go in there from 5:30 to 7:30, Monday through Friday. From now until I think like middle of March or sometime in April. So it's a nice, warm, safe place to go and get some exercise and get your heart rate up when it's dark and gloomy out all the time. So take advantage of that. It's free to the residents, 18 and older. It's a nice program that not most people know about. The next thing, the youth center, our next Nerf night will be Friday, October 21st, followed by our Halloween party, which is at the end of the month, a couple days before Halloween, on the 29th at 6 p.m., also at the youth center. And I don't believe we set hours for trick-or-treating yet.
I think it came up at a meeting. I don't know if we actually had a motion. I don't think we did.
We usually do the 4 to 8. I think that's what we did last year.
Halloween Eve, right?
Yeah, I have Mike's email to add a motion that I got this morning.
Okay, all right.
We can do that verbally.
I would think we would do it on the Monday, but, I mean, it's...
Yeah. Many of the smaller children go to school with an outfit on, come home, and they're ready to go out and trick or treat.
Yeah, it makes sense to have that early start time.
Halloween is the best way, is the best bet.
And that's the end of my list.
I'd like to thank Mike, not only Mike, but Mike has his wife come, and she does an awful lot of the work there. She makes almost every one of these senior dances and does a great job. And now even Jackson, he's old enough to help out and does quite a bit of work. Most of the folks that are there working are volunteers. There's a couple who are employees for the town, but most of them are there on their own time, including Mike. Mike does not have to be there. And Mike, we certainly appreciate all you do to make these dances so great, and they are a lot of fun.
No, and this one, we always do like a fall theme or a Halloween type theme, but when Gail and I sat down last year to think about coming up with a theme for this year's one, as you all know, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so, our theme was to wear pink, either pink ribbon, pink shirts, and kind of just to raise awareness, because, we're all in some way indirectly affected by cancer. And it's just a good way for a night, celebrate life, kind of remember those who are in that battle. So, thought it was a good time.
And there were a whole bunch of centerpieces on the tables, and those centerpieces were with the theme of breast cancer awareness, and they were made by our seniors and given out by our seniors. So, congratulations on that.
Right.
Thank you, Mike. Mike's not here. Bridget couldn't be here this evening, which means we're up to Arlene.
Mike filled it in real well, but it was a nice dance. The theme was, I think, made it something special. Everybody wore those pink ribbons. These centerpieces were made by our craft people. So it turned out really nice. And we're having food shots last Friday of the month, which is the 28th, right? I think so. From 9 to 11, and you have to call Gail, so they know how many shots to bring. So if any of you guys, anybody that wants food shots, you're welcome to come to the community. Mr. Cliff, I think you're coming.
Well, usually Chris comes over here afterwards, and
That's right.
I can't get away from him.
No, he comes over here, he loves that.
Once he walks into my office, there's no way out.
But there's a lot of people getting the flu already.
Yeah.
One senior went in the hospital today again.
Yep. Well, not only the flu, but this has been a horrible year for pneumonia.
Yeah.
And there are inoculations, I guess would be the right word for it. There are drugs that help with pneumonia. If you haven't had one, please do.
We're attending a conference on Monday for seniors down in Lockport. I'm down there.
Okay. Bernie, anything?
Report-wise?
Yep.
Yes, we got the paperwork done for the security fence for the landfill and for the generators that will go in tomorrow. We'll be submitting the DOT grant for Cougar Road. Gil's asked me to work with fire departments on building improvements. I'll be contacting them tomorrow with some protocols that have to be done, and scope of work. And New York State Archives will be opening within the next 2 months, and then I'll get together with Kathy and put together an application for that, and that's for our records, our permanent records.
Now, you did say earlier that the recycling grant that
Yes.
Rich wanted, we did apply for that and everything's in?
Yes, we're working with Niagara County on that. Spoke to the coordinator. They're including us in that program, and as soon as that comes out, then they'll let us know what we need. So we are part of that process.
Yeah, that's not a very large grant. It's only a few $1,000s, but a few $1,000s is still a few $1,000s.
I think it's $2,500.
Thank you, Bernie. Tim Zuber, Wendell.
Thank you. We have a few items on our agenda for you this evening, so we're going to start right off with our planning board report. This planning board report is actually covering 3 meetings, as we didn't have our second meeting in September, so we carried that meeting over to this month. Our first meeting that we're talking about this evening is our September 7th meeting, and on that agenda was only one item. It was a site plan for the Dr. Vigna Medical Office. The applicant proposes to reuse the existing building at 6941 Williams Road. It's formerly the Yanni's Restaurant, as a medical office with 3 office rooms, 8 exam rooms, and a reception/waiting room area. Work is to include remodeling the interior of the building, a milling and overlay of the parking lot, and new landscaping. The project was determined to be a Type 2 action under seeker and does not require further environmental review. The planning board approved the site plan with noted conditions. The next meeting was our September 21st meeting, and there was again only one agenda item at that meeting, and that was the site plan for the Empire Pipeline Dehydration Facility. The applicant proposes to construct a natural gas dehydration facility on the 40-acre parcel of land located on the north side of Liberty Drive. Construction will include an access road, a fenced area which will contain the reboiler building, an electrical building, an RTU control building, the contact towers, thermal oxidizer, and other supporting pieces of outdoor equipment. The applicant provided plans and supporting documentation, including their air permit application, an emissions testing report, a sound survey, a wetland delineation report, lighting plans, photo simulations, and a copy of their April 28, 2016 FERC submittal. A public information meeting was held on August 3rd, and several questions were relayed to the applicant. The applicant then provided supplemental information on the thermal oxidizer and agreed to the conditions discussed with the planning board. FERC issued an environmental assessment of the Northern Access 2016 project and determined that there will be no environmental impacts as a result of the project. In addition, FERC regulated pipelines and associated facilities are preempted from seeker by the National Gas Act, so the project is not subject to our normal seeker review. The planning board then approved the site plan with several noted conditions and contingent upon engineering review and approval. The next meeting was our October 5th meeting, and that also only had one agenda item, and that was about the Shawnee Clemmer subdivision. The developer had some questions on this subdivision. It's been a few years that we've been talking about that one. It's a 5-lot subdivision that's along Shawnee Road. However, right before the meeting was to occur, the applicant withdrew his questions and withdrew his request to be on the planning board meeting. So we didn't have anybody that night, but the planning board did spend the rest of the evening working on updates and revisions to their 2013 site plan guidelines. These are the list of things that they go through with every applicant that comes in for a site plan. So that's the summary of our last 3 meetings. Are there any questions? Okay, the next item on our agenda. As you recall, last week we were hoping to have a recommendation for our 2016 I&I corrective actions. However, we had only received one quote for our package, and we asked the board to extend that quoting period and go out for a little bit longer, which we did. And as of Tuesday last week, we received 3 valid quotes for that project. We had one from Pipe Eye Sewer Services, which was for $16,939. One from United Survey, Inc., which was $18,400. And the last was from Aerold Construction, and they were at $28,750. So we do have a recommendation in our motions tonight with Matt to award that to the low quote bid, Pipe Eye Sewer Services, for the $16,939. We talked with them, and they are fully aware of what the plans require, and they're actually the company that did our I&I corrective work last year. So that is our second agenda item. Are there any questions on that? And we'll do the motion when we get to Matt, but okay. Our third item has to deal with our security fence at the Niagara Sanitation Landfill. We received an encroachment agreement from National Fuel, which they require of any and everybody who does anything within their pipeline right-of-way. We are only crossing 2 small segments of it with our fence, but they still require this paperwork to be filled out and signed. So we got that last week, passed it on to Matt, and he's had a chance to look at it. So we have a motion in the packet tonight recommending that the supervisor be authorized to sign that paperwork. there any questions on that?
Nope.
Let me run through the items pretty quick tonight. The next item on our agenda is a stormwater maintenance guarantee, and it's a change in procedure. A few weeks ago, we had a discussion about this. One of the things that we require as part of our post-construction control agreements, and this is for private sites who exceed an acre and have to comply with the state stormwater permit. When they get to the end of their job, they're asked to put in a maintenance agreement. It's actually a requirement of the state of New York. It's for them to make sure that somebody is designated and on the hook for the future maintenance of these things that they put in on their site plans, like bioretention areas and rain gardens. So in the past, for our practices that we've done on our various site plans, we went by an initial DEC sample that they had, and it required a security be held basically for the life of the project, as long as that facility is there. And we've had a lot of difficulty working with developers in securing that, because a lot of establishments won't grant that, especially for something for an indefinite time period. So we did some research, talked with other municipalities, and found out that we're the only one in Western New York that even does that. Most municipalities settle for something like a 2-year maintenance bond, or some kind of 2-year limited security from after the facility is done, to make sure that things are up and running and functioning well. So we have a motion in the packet to ask the board to basically change the way we've done things in the past for these site plans, and only to require a 2-year security for those private site developments. And we'd have that start on or about when the certificate of occupancy is issued. We didn't want to make it the exact time frame, because then we get caught in the back and forth of revisions, but as long as it's within a week or two, we think that would be sufficient to cover that. These agreements also have a provision in them that if there's something goes wrong with their system and they're notified about it and they fail to repair it, the town can go in and repair it for them and affix the cost of that onto their tax bill. So having this other method is really secondary, so that's why we're in support of switching that to just a 2-year security.
Would you hold the NOT until that 2-year, that whole 2 years, or?
It's not the NOT, it's an ongoing maintenance agreement. We actually ask for 2 things. One's an access agreement, so that the town, being the highway department, whoever's in charge of drainage, basically has the authority to access a private site for the purposes of inspecting their stormwater controls. And then there's an agreement in place that gets filed at Niagara County, and it basically says, here are the different practices that they have on their site, and here are what the maintenance requirements are for that. And the big point for that is, you know, if somebody builds something and then sells the property, you don't want the next owner to say, I was never aware I had all these things that I had to maintain. It's to make sure that everybody's aware of what's there and what requirements are in place for them. And again, those are required by the DEC.
Anything for Tim? Thank you, Tim.
Actually, we have one last late addition to our agenda item as well, and that was thanks to Mr. Rotella. We had some last minute questions from actually with in regards to our paperwork for the grants that we're looking at for the Kruger Road sidewalk.
Part of the protocol for the DOT application requires a seeker. I thought we had one with us since the water line is basically property, but I talked to Tim today and he didn't have one, so it's a negative declaration, whatever it's called.
Right, so we didn't get that far last fall when we put together the map plan and report. We just put that report together to Bernie to start looking for funding. So now that we have a lead on this, we've prepared part 1 of the board's review. So that would be our last motion that we've added to the packet this evening, is for rendering our seeker decision on that. I mean, it's existing right away, so there's not a lot of undisturbed areas in there.
Yeah. Matt has a motion on that prepared.
Yeah, it was forwarded to me.
Or Kathy would have given you a copy, right?
Okay.
Okay. That's,
yeah. Matt has it ready to go. Okay.
so that's all we have.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
I guess we are up to motions, Matt.
Okay, starting with the motions from Wendell, as Tim had mentioned. First motion is to award the 2016 sanitary sewer rehabilitation project relining of the Moyer Road Pump Station, wet well, and a sanitary sewer manhole on Plaza Drive to Pipe Eye Sewer Services, Inc., based on their low quote price of $16,939.
Moved by Larry, second by Art. These monies will be supplied by the sewer department. This is part of the annual sewer department's I&I projects for each town. So this actually won't cost Wheatfield specifically, it costs the sewer department. Anything else on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
Second motion from Wendell to authorize the supervisor to sign the encroachment agreement required by National Fuel to install the security fence within the National Fuel right-of-way at the Niagara Sanitation Landfill. The town attorney has reviewed the agreement language and has no objections.
So move.
Second. Moved by Art, second by Gill. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
Again, third motion from Wendell to change the past practice of requiring a stormwater security for an indefinite time period to require a stormwater security for just 2 years from the approximate date of issuance of a certificate of occupancy. This only applies to private developments that are required to provide a post-construction stormwater management practices.
I'll go ahead and make that motion. Need a second.
I'll second.
Second by Randy. It doesn't make much sense for us to hold a bond forever. We literally don't have anything in the law that says when we can pay it back. So we'd be literally sitting on their money forever. And it's substantial. I think the one, Tim, wasn't it $15,000? So it could be substantial. It just doesn't make any sense for the purpose intended. Anything else on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
And the fourth is the additional late motion from Wendell and Bernie. In accordance with the seeker requirements, the town board has reviewed Part 1 of the EAF and information submitted by the project sponsor, Wendell, completed Part 2 and evaluated the impacts in Part 3, and have determined the town project to install a 5-foot wide sidewalk along the south side of Kruger Road will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment, and therefore issues a negative declaration. Parts 1, 2, 3, and 3 of the EAF and backup material. The town board authorizes the town supervisor to sign the EAF.
So move.
Moved by Art. Do we have a second? I'm signing. I can't second.
I'll second.
Second by Randy. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
Okay, next motion from the Recreation Department to approve the recommendation of the Recreation Department to appoint Amber Carls as lifeguard for the town swim program beginning in January 2017. Said appointment will be pursuant to pay grade and job requirements, pursuant to job specifications. Said approval is subject to human resource approval and Niagara County Sheriff's Department background check.
So moved. Okay, moved by Gill, second by Larry. Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
Next motion again from the Recreation Department to award Fiddler Roofing, Inc. the proposed contract to fix the gutters of the Youth Center building for a total cost of $6,720, said expense from the Rec Department 2016 budget.
Second. Moved by Art, second by Gill. Anything on this question? Mike, I did ask you about gutter cover. Did you have a chance to look into that?
No, but I did talk to them about getting the snow jacks over top the man door. And they said it was like $2 or $3 a linear foot. So this cost may go up like another $100. There's a couple man doors.
Yeah.
Gutter covers, I'm not sure if we'll need them now since we got rid of
Our trees. Well, we had trees growing right in the gutters, but I don't think they were ash trees. Okay, anything further on the question? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
I'm gonna put in now the, third late motion from the Recreation Department, to, a motion sponsoring the trick-or-treat time for Wheatfield residents will be held on Monday, October 31st, Halloween, from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Second. Moved by Art, second by Randy. Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? You all set, Mike?
Next motion is to approve the proposed contract from Municipal Solutions, Inc. And authorize the town supervisor to execute said contract, engaging Municipal Solutions, Inc. to file on behalf of the town of Wheatfield the following forms: limited disclosure, material event notice, and full disclosure, which is required due to the fact the town has issued certain bonds and notes. Said filings are a continuing requirement of the issuance of said bonds and notes.
I'll go ahead and make that motion. I do need-
Second.
Second by Gil. Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
The next motion in the packet was with regard to the extension of the moratorium. As we've indicated before, I don't think it's necessary at this point, so I would, as long as we have no objection, I would suggest we hold off on that.
If anybody does wish to make a motion, go ahead. Okay, so we'll hold it and move on.
Okay. Next motion, is to authorize the purchase of a Toshiba eStudio 3005 AC copy machine at a cost of $4,775 per Budget Director Ed Mongo's recommendation of purchase over lease based on the cost of the machine.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Gil. Do we have a second? I'll go ahead and second. Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
Next motion is to pass a resolution by the town to designate Key Bank as official depository for the town as a result of the purchase of First Niagara Bank by Key Bank.
Okay, moved by Larry. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Randy. With First Niagara closing, we have to have a second place. That's a bank where we actually will be putting our capital funds. I think they're already there, right? The capital funds are held in a totally separate bank, so they cannot be intermixed with our regular funds. And from time to time, we may use them for a savings account. You get a little extra money on a savings account for interest. If they have a better than M&T, then we would use them. Anything further on the question? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
Next motion is from the Budget Director to approve changes to the 2017 tentative budget for the General Fund, Highway Fund, Water Fund, and Sewer Fund, increasing and/or decreasing budget appropriations and estimated revenues for various accounts as set forth in the schedule that was attached. And
I want to see you read this one in its entirety.
For the sake of time, I'll say it's as presented in the packet.
Yeah, we had our budget meeting with the department heads, with the board, a week ago, and came up with a number of changes. Most of them are minor changes, but the list is there.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Larry. We do need a second. Second by Art. Anything further on the question? All in favor? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Ed sent an email out to us explaining what the difference was between this first pass of the budget and then these changes. The tentative, can you explain that to everyone? Do these changes, did it increase or decrease a little bit more? Or?
They decreased the tax levy by $1,528. The result was that the increase in the tax levy is $22,172, which represents a 0.63% increase. The tax cap limit is 0.68, so we are below the tax cap. But for a typical homeowner, they will be looking at a 25-cent decrease in a typical tax bill for a homeowner in the town.
That represents a 0.05% reduction. The reason why the typical homeowner is seeing a tax decrease, but there's an increase in a tax levy, is because of increased assessed valuations throughout the town through new developments.
Right.
Anyone have any other questions or comments? You're welcome.
Okay, before you go, Ed, this, if we approve these, this will become the preliminary budget.
Correct.
And this is what will be presented to the public for the budget hearing, which is scheduled for November 7th.
Correct.
Which will be, if we haven't scheduled, it'll be scheduled for November 7th.
That is correct.
The preliminary budget is pretty important because if we take no further action between now and the 21st of November, this will be our budget.
That is correct.
We can adopt it that way, or we can still make changes after we've had the public hearing. Thank you. Anything further? All in favor of making these changes to the tentative budget? Aye. Any opposed? That is approved.
Okay, next motion from the Firearms Permit Review Board to approve the firearm discharge permits and renewals for the individuals shown on the attached list that was submitted by the Firearms Permit Review Board of October 13th, 2016.
I'll go ahead and move. Do we have a second?
Okay.
Second by Larry. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That is approved.
Next motion was from the town assessor to allow the town assessor to re-levy the unpaid water, sewer, town charges on the 2016 tax roll in order to collect said charges through property tax collection.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Art. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Larry. Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That is approved.
Next motion, I don't believe was in the packet, or at least came in late. Motion from the Director of Personnel. Motion to accept and approve the terms for independent health insurance for non-union employees.
I'll go ahead and make the motion. I do need a second.
I'll second on the question.
Go ahead.
So these are the same plans, basically, and the same carriers. My layman's terminology, things are pretty much the same as what they were last year with these?
With an increase in the cost, yes.
Yeah, other than a slight increase.
The interesting thing is if we wait until January 1st, we let this year run out, the increase is going to be just under 10%. If we make a change and go on December 1st, the increase for the next 12 months from December 1st will only be about 5%. They're letting us use 2016 rates for 2017 for the first 11 months. It's not a lot of money again, but it's probably in the $8,000 or $9,000 range that we can save by doing it a month early. We don't think it affects any employees in any way. It will cost a little bit for us to modify our HRA. one of the plans that we have to pay $125 to modify the plan to allow this to happen. HRA, I think it's the HRA. So the recommendation, Fran and I and Vince met with Diane from Northwest Benefits. She presented a lot of options to us, and this is the one we felt was the most sensible, and this is what we are recommending to the board.
One last question now.
Sure.
The retirees that are on the Blue Cross and Blue Shield, their open enrollment is...
It's still going to be January 1st, we believe.
So this is only...
This would be the group who are covered by the non-union regular health insurance plan. And the dental plan and the eyeglass plan would still be separate. Okay, anything else? All in favor of making this change signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
And the last motion, which was a late addition as well, is from Water and Sewer Department, requesting an adjustment for a water bill for 3656 Timberlink. At that location, a wrong meter head was put on the water meter, which created a bill, huge bill, which needed to be adjusted. The adjusted amount needs to be $718.95. The actual bill should be $186.55. So we're looking for a motion for that reduction.
Make a second.
Moved by Larry, second by Art. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
That is all I have for the motions.
Okay. We will very likely be having an executive session at the completion of the meeting. There probably won't be any business transacting this evening based upon that. You're welcome to stay if you wish. We'll probably be in the office for some time. For the moment, we'll go into board member items. Councilman Helwig.
I have nothing.
Councilman Doucette.
I have some correspondence from Adams Fire Company. I'd like to make a motion for him to add Michael Wodla and Victoria Geyer to their roster.
Do we have a second? Oh, second by Art. Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Did you hear three? Okay, that's approved.
And that's it.
Thank you. Art, anything?
No report, Steve.
And Randy?
The Agricultural Focus Group, October 25th, is meeting at 6 p.m. We're looking into the possibility of trying to secure funds to help us with development rights. Another question, Rich, is there ever a thought, or why do we not use self-draining hydrants? I know there's two different kinds out there.
Because of the water table around here, we got so much clay, they hold water. We run into the issue too many times.
They won't drain?
They won't drain.
Okay. And to go to your story in Batavia, we had a landscaper that did go to jail for using a hydrant without a backflow. And that's not threatened, he actually went to jail. That's all.
Okay, before I entertain a motion for executive session, we'll go back to public input. Debbie?
I have one question because Kelly and I did go to that meeting on Tuesday, or whatever it was, and I did bring up about the $300 closing allowance, and somebody said that, it was union, but there are also non-union people that are getting that $300 closing allowance, and I told you I would ask that question tonight. What is the amount that you are putting out for full-time employees who are non-union for that $300 closing allowance?
The $300 is an amount which was negotiated with the union, and we believe in treating all employees as fairly as possible, as equally and fairly as possible, so the board chose to give the same clothing allowance to non-union personnel as well as personnel. So any full-time employee can use the $300 as a clothing allowance. It's actually a payment into their payroll. It is a taxable income payment into their payroll.
So, did you get the amount for me? I wanted the amount of how much we're kicking out the taxpayers.
I'll have the amount in
He's picking it up on the
23
computer.
seconds.
21, 22. Well, while Larry's looking that up, is there anybody else who wants to speak?
I have a question. Is
Julie?
the proposed budget posted online, or when will that be available?
Kathy?
The tentative, with the changes from tonight,
Yeah, for, you know, just...
the
whole program.
tentative budget is online now.
Okay.
The ones with tonight's changes,
It will be filed with your office tomorrow morning.
yeah, so by tomorrow or Wednesday.
Okay, and then on the 7th of November with the budget hearing, would it be that you would naturally adopt the budget that night after input, or would it not be adopted that night?
It could be adopted that night and just get it over with. It does not have to be adopted that night. It has to be adopted no later, normally it would be the 20th, but this year the 20th happens to be on a Sunday, so it can wait until our board meeting on the 21st.
Okay, and then the other question is, I didn't pull the budget down, I didn't see it there, I didn't really look either, but, how much money are we using in reserves to balance the budget this year then?
A little over $1 million.
Okay, so it was $1 million the year before too, right?
I think it was less than, I think it was $850,000 last year.
Okay.
950.
So 950, so almost $1 million. Okay, thank you.
Okay, my 23 seconds is up. It's $13,050 is the budgeted amount. And that came from, our budget director through all the department meetings, through all the employees, both union and non-union that are, taking quota. And, they do pay, I understand they do pay taxes on this, it's included in the personnel line, which is the .1 line, so they receive this money, and it's in their paycheck. That's correct. So they pay taxes on it.
Do they have to show proof that they're using it towards clothing? Because other...
They used to in order to get it, and that creates a morass for the department head to go through and is this acceptable, is this not acceptable? We just,
like a raise
when...
if they don't use the money towards clothing, it's like a $300 raise?
That's correct. It is used, it is there to be available so that we're paying for their clothes that they ruin by working for us.
Is this office workers too? Any full-time employees?
They're eligible for it, yes.
Thank you.
The town requires the highway, sewer, Mike does, the workers are required to wear certain safety equipment. They're required to wear safety boots, glasses.
The town of Tonawanda, they give $100 for boots, and the guys have to show proof that they use it for boots. So really, you're giving a $300 raise to your employees every year if they don't want to use it for clothing. Every single year, they're getting a $300 raise.
It
But
can
there
be,
are certain things they're required to wear
Even in the offices.
by the town.
In the offices.
Yeah, the two secretaries over at the water sewer department, when people bring in electronic recycling, televisions and that, some of the folks that bring the equipment in, I don't know how they got it in their vehicles, but they can't get it out of their vehicles. I don't know if Richie can attest to this, but the girls over there actually ruined their clothes, ripped them, and so
I was a special ed teacher, and I ruined my clothes too with my special needs students, but I didn't get $300 every year for clothing.
thank you for your comments, Debbie. Anybody else? Okay. I'll entertain a motion. Oh, by the way, our next meeting is November 7th, and that will be the actual budget hearing on what was just passed as a preliminary budget. And we'll have a regular meeting at 7:30 or whenever the budget hearing is completed. And now I will ask for a motion to go into executive session. We would want the board members, Kathy, Matt, Rich, and Paul, and Mike. I think you wanted to be there also. Do we have a motion to, I guess I'll make the motion to go into executive session.
I'll second it.
Okay, second by Gil. Anything further on the question? Okay, we probably will not be taking any action when we come out. Obviously, we can if we choose. All in favor of going into executive session?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We are in executive.
I'd like to make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
We have roll call on coming out of executive session.
No.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. We're talking.
Second.
No, we gotta come out of executive.
They already made that motion.
We said that while you were gone. Was any business conducted during the multi-business? Okay, so no business was conducted during the executive session, and there was a motion in favor of going back into the regular. Yes.
Second.
Aye. We are adjourned.